a small lesson on les pronoms sujet, pronom. Notice that pronom has the word name in it, right? So if your proper name, son nom de famille, is, like for me, Jennifer Dumont, the pronom is the word I use in place of the noun, right? And the pronouns, there are 6 of them, vary based on your perspective. If the perspective is my perspective, then I'm saying I. So I in French is je. If it's you, if I'm talking to you, and remember from your English classes, that means it's the second person. The second person singular and informal is you. So if someone is talking to me, they're looking at me, Jennifer Dumont, but then they're saying you. They say you instead of Jennifer Dumont. It's their perspective. If you're talking about me in the third person, you will say elle, because I am a girl. I always tell people, think of Elle magazine. So she, elle. If they're talking about Jacques Dumont, they'll say il, he, il. And nous is we. That's what they call the first person plural, because it's me. You know, I'm talking I, but I'm talking as I and others. That makes we, donc nous. Vous, as we learned in our first lessons, vous can be the formal, you, and can also be the plural, y'all, vous. And then you have the plural of he, or many he's, is il, and the plural of she, or many girls, many she, it is elle. Unlike in English, where we have this they that groups together men and women, but without being specific about gender, it's more about the they, like a lot of people, they. In French, if there's a bunch of guys, if there's a fraternity house, it's il, and if it's a sorority house, it's elle. But however, if one guy goes over to the sorority house to visit his girlfriend, even if there's 25 girls in that house and only one guy, it becomes il. I call that the little sexist rule. Now that we know what the different, and there's also on. And on in French is used often to talk kind of in general terms. Like if I yell at somebody, you know, we don't smoke here, or you don't smoke here, or one doesn't smoke in this room, or smoking is not allowed here, you know, smoking is not possible in this room. On ne fume pas ici. On is often used in colloquial slang French interchangeably with we. If I'm talking about, you know, we want to go here, we want to see this movie, I may actually say on as well. On n'aime pas ce film, you know, we don't like this film. So the French use on, like on, which is technically like a third person singular in its conjugation, in a very flexible and fun way. But literally it translates one. Now that we know these pronouns, we have to know that these are subject pronouns. These are the subjects that we use in place of nouns as the subjects of verbs. So when you usually are going to see these je, tu, il, nous, vous, il, it's in the conjugation chart. Conjugations are going to be your best friend for the next semester. As you learn how to use French verbs, you have to learn how to conjugate them based on whether it's I or we or you plural or you formal or he, she, or il, elle. And often you'll also see it, which is kind of the se. You'll see it in the next lesson with c'est, it is, ce, est. So for the je suis, for the être verb, which is your first verb of this semester, we have learned je suis, tu es, il est, elle est, nous sommes, vous êtes, and that's a circumflex. vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont. So, this is an irregular verb. It also showcases some of the pronunciation rules. You know, you're not pronouncing this like an S. Je suis, tu es, il est. You're not pronouncing that T. Nous sommes. No S at the end. Vous êtes. Now you pronounce the S in vous because when you have a vous, et, you link them, right? It's called the rule of linking, which we'll see in the lesson on liaison et enchaînement, between words that end with an S or T and then begin with a vowel. Vous êtes. And then you've got ils sont, elles sont. Voilà. The être is really one of the most irregular of verbs. You will, in the next coming weeks, learn verbs that, although they're different from je, tu, il, nous, vous, il, elle, they have certain patterns and they become easy to remember because they have a very fixed pattern from verb to verb, and you'll start noticing certain patterns. Your mind will be able to take it all in because there's a certain organization that becomes easy to memorize once you start practicing. Donc voilà, encore une fois, here are the subject pronouns. Je, tu, il, elle, on. Nous, vous, il, elle. Many of you have done a great job kind of stepping up. For example, you had examples where it would be like ma or mon, or mon camarade de chambre. Now that's, you know, your roommate. And if you wanted to replace my, masculine or feminine, ma or ma or mon camarade de chambre, with a pronoun, what would that be? It would be, well, if it was a girl, it would be elle. And if it was a boy, it would be il. So you might say, ma camarade de chambre est Jacqueline. Elle est Jacqueline. Mon camarade de chambre est Jacques. And then you would say, if you wanted to replace mon camarade de chambre with the pronoun, il est Jacques. Ma camarade de chambre s'appelle Jacqueline. Elle s'appelle Jacqueline. Mon camarade de chambre s'appelle Jacques. Il s'appelle Jacques. Okay. Again, these are lessons where you first have to memorize and practice, and then you just have to have fun putting two and two together and saying real sentences. Voilà. À tout à l'heure.